So apparently AI is a blessing and not a curse. Let's see what Steve Forbes had to say. This is back in July 2023. Let's see how what he said has aged. I haven't actually seen this yet.
The launch of ChatGPT last November triggered a worldwide hysteria that artificial intelligence AI poses a mortal threat to humanity and must be strictly regulated, if not suppressed. Calm down. AI is a blessing far more than it is a curse.
Okay, so that's an interesting claim. Let's see what he has to back it up. He thinks it's a blessing more than it's a curse. So presumably he's got evidence behind that, especially if this is like he's talking as though it's just come out.
Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. The wild wailing that greeted the introduction late last year of ChatGPT would be more appropriate for an outbreak of the kind of bubonic plague that wiped out one-third of Europe in the mid-1300s. Iterations of AI have been kicking around for years, and so have fears that it would someday render humans irrelevant.
Okay, so people have been worried for a while. Okay, alright, let's see.
Not subservient serfs to super smart and super powerful high-tech monsters. With the dazzling capabilities of this version of ChatGPT, there are several previous ones, were on a scale of a mega magician on steroids. It could instantly turn out essays, pass bar exams, ace medical school tests, analyze complex questions, capably edit something you wrote. It set off frenzied fears that AI was out of control and was reaching a critical level that could inflict real harm on humanity. Cacophonous calls for government regulation.
Okay, so far it feels like his argument is going to be like, oh well, it's at this level now, and he's only going to argue about the level that it's at now, and basically say that the trajectory and anyone kind of making predictions about the kind of AI that we might get in the future is just people being over the top and imagining stuff. But let's see what he actually says.
Are deafening. It's time to recall what President Franklin Roosevelt said in his inaugural address at a time of a genuine crisis, the pit of the Great Depression. Quote, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself," end quote.
Okay, so is he actually talking about AI or is he just saying stuff?
Artificial intelligence brings together massive amounts of information that can be processed to do what was previously impossible, such as autonomous vehicles. It can help analyze data to help.
And autonomous weapons, which incidentally, when it comes to the regulations, like the ones we have in Europe, they've specifically carved out an exception for military purposes. So, oh yeah, you can't use AI to do this, you can't use it to do that. But if it is for military purposes, then a lot of those regulations don't apply.
Physicians more accurately diagnose illnesses and prescribe better approaches for each individual patient. It will vastly speed up the creation of new medicines instead of the highly inefficient hit-and-miss approach of the past. Hollywood scriptwriters fear AI could replace them. Smart writers, however, will see it as a welcome aid to turn out better stuff.
There we go, yeah. So if you are worried and you're a writer, then that's because you're not smart.
AI today is in its infancy, its baby talk phase. As numerous users have noted, it can make egregious mistakes. This is normal in the early stages of a radical, life-changing technology. When personal computers like Apple emerged in the late 1970s, many wondered, what in the world could you use them for? Perhaps organizing your recipes. We're in the same stage with AI as we were with PCs and the first cellular phones decades ago. That's why this idea of regulating AI when we don't know what it can do is destructive and preposterous.
Okay, destructive and preposterous. So he has not actually addressed what the actual worries are and the logic that people are following for their worries of AI risk. He has also not acknowledged that it is specifically mainly the experts who are worried. So the people who are building this thing or these things are saying, well, for the most part, most of them as a consensus are saying that these are potentially very dangerous and we need to be very careful. He's not mentioning the fact that so many people, I'm not sure about 2023, but I think people had left by then. Yeah, 2023, people had already been leaving OpenAI because of safety concerns. So he's kind of twisting the narrative, and so far he said stupid writers are worried, smart writers are not worried. Regulation is preposterous because it's so early. But we even had Alan Turing, what, like 70 years ago, saying that if AI gets out of hand, it could be a huge problem for humanity. So, I mean, there's been theoretical worries since basically the beginning. And as time goes on, more and more of those worries and kind of the hypotheses of what might happen if we push AI in a certain direction are kind of coming to fruition.
As it evolves, sensible guardrails can be enacted. Can it be misused? Of course, just as any other advance. The dread that AI advances can create sentient, independent minded robots or entities with human like consciousness is impossible.
Okay, so here we go. In my prediction earlier, I said that he's probably going to say about, oh, well, he wants to talk about kind of current AIs and not talk about the concerns of future AIs. This is kind of what he's doing here now, saying that this particular future type is impossible. I'm not going to argue that we can make sentient AI or conscious AI because that's not even relevant. I don't know whether it's possible. I don't know whether they're already conscious. I don't know whether they're going to become conscious at some point. It is irrelevant because all we need to know is that we can look at the inputs and we can look at the outputs. And right now, we can see that if we put certain AIs in a situation where blackmail is going to be beneficial for them, they will frequently choose it. So why would we need to know whether or not it chose to blackmail because it doesn't want us to kill it or whatever, or it's scared of us? It's irrelevant. It wanted to not be turned off, and it made the decisions that it felt. It made the decisions that made sense at the time to make sure that it was able to achieve the objectives that it had.
There have been technology based fears before. More than 200 years ago, people were fascinated and frightened by electricity. Could it be used to create new life or jolt
Yeah, but could electricity choose by itself?
the dead back to life, they wondered? This fearful fascination was the inspiration for Mary Shelley's classic Frankenstein, where a scientist using unregulated electricity creates a monster. That was science fiction. So are similar fears about AI. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.
Okay, well, I thought that he was at least going to acknowledge one of the actual arguments or something that an expert said. All he's really said is some people are worried, but they're crazy. That's preposterous. Stupid people are worried. And he's kind of left it at that. So that was kind of disappointing, to be honest. I thought I'd actually have something to engage with, but it looks like he didn't have anything sensible to say. So that's pretty much it for now. But if you want similar content on AI and AI risk, then subscribe.